Bronson, coming back to you with another sort of collection overview video, and this is actually sort of a requested one by Mike Barrett. Mike Barrett actually asked me in a live chat of my watch party that I did of Cynthia Rothrock's Lady Dragon. He actually asked me if I can do a updated or collection video on my American Westerns, US Westerns. So, of course, I'm happy to oblige with that one. I have been, in all honesty, on my channel I've been giving more attention to spaghetti westerns as opposed to American westerns. I do like American westerns, but I think it can safely be said I prefer the European, Italian-made spaghetti westerns. But there's no denying there's fantastic, absolutely fantastic American westerns out there as well. Now spaghetti westerns, I own about between 120 to 130 spaghetti westerns on physical media. I have seen more. And similar the case with American westerns, which I'm going to show you. I think there's some 50 odd, over 50 American westerns here that I collected from various parts of my collection. My John Wayne collection is here, some American westerns from my Clint Eastwood collection, Charles Bronson, Kevin Costner, and of course the two Tarantino films I will show you, the two Tarantino westerns. Yeah, there's about some 50 odd, I would say, but I have seen way more. I've seen more than I own. But yeah, let's start with this. Yeah, of course, like I said, more than happy to oblige. Obviously, with me being a part, one of your free co-hosts on the Westerns for Life podcast, where we do discuss westerns and stuff. It is great to get my collection out there and show, what one guy of the podcast, what I have on physical media. Maybe Carlos and Dan will do similar videos where they show their Western collections. Would fit in nicely with the podcast maybe. But yeah, this is part of the Westerns for Life video series for sure. This one, I'm going to put the intro at the start and stuff. So yeah, let's just start. I will be referencing the podcast because there's a few films here that we either have covered or we will cover in the near future. We're gonna get around to pretty much every Western, that's the plan. But yeah, anyway, let's just start with some DVDs that I don't necessarily have in a collection. Yeah, for a few DVDs and Blu-rays that aren't necessarily part of a collection. First up is Bone Tomahawk, a very recent sort of modern day Western, more of a horror Western. There's definitely some horror, disturbing elements in this one with Kurt Russell. This one may or may not be already covered on this Westerns for Life podcast. We might have done already an episode on it, depending on when this airs. I can either confirm or deny it, but hush hush for now. Next up is a classic American Western, Broken Arrow with Jimmy Stewart. This one directed by Delmar Davies. Yeah, 1950. Yeah, pretty good Western, this one. This one was a gift to me by Mike from Mike's DVD and Blu-ray collection. He did send this DVD to me a while back in a little package of goodies. So thanks once again, Mike. Yeah, this was a great Western. I'd never seen it before. Mike gave it to me, but I really enjoy it. Might actually consider upgrading that one to Blu-ray, or if there's a Blu-ray out there. I don't even know, but the DVD is fine for now, definitely. But that one will warrant a HD upgrade, possibly in the future as well. Same with this one. Honestly, I never upgrade this one, but I do really like the film. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, of course. Two legends here: Paul Newman, Robert Redford. Let me hold that in frame. Yeah, great classic. Sort of. What's the word for sort of revisionist sort of Western? Of course, this is in the late 60s, where the spaghetti Westerns were starting to make their influences known onto the American Westerns. Like spaghetti Westerns in the first place, of course, are inspired by older Westerns, and then late 60s, the American Westerns that were taking influences from the spaghetti Westerns with, Peck and Paw and stuff, it became more violent, which of course were some of the main staples in spaghetti Western genres. They were really violent. But yeah, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, classic movie. I don't know what I can say about it. It definitely might be one that we will be tackling, I think, for the podcast. That's definitely a classic one that deserves a episode on it. This one would be an interesting one to do an episode on as well. Heaven's Gate. Um, Michael Cimino's infamous flop with an all-star cast. Christopher Walken right there in a western. Howdy, imagine him saying howdy. Uh, yeah, no. Actually, despite this being like a notorious flop and it pretty much killed, United Artists. I'm just looking at the back of Chris Christopherson, of course, and Jeff Bridges. So many great people in this one. John Hurt, Brad Dourif. Despite this being an infamous flop and almost killing the studio, or pretty much killing the studio, it's not that bad. I actually did get around to watching this one not too long ago. This one was, by the way, sent to me by my Dutch brother-in-arms, Donnie from Cinemaniac 77. He sent this one to me as a freebie in a package. Cheers once again for that one, Donnie. It's not that bad, really. It's very long. It's, what is it, 3.5 hours or whatever. Close to 4 hours. It's long. It's freaking long. But it's not that bad. I do recommend it for the Westerns fan. It will be an interesting discussion if we do that one on the podcast. Next up, another classic, Sam Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch. I definitely have to upgrade this one to Blu-ray. I've always had this DVD, which, to be fair, is the sort of special edition. Oh yeah, director's cut says it right there. It's sort of a slightly longer cut. Music by Jerry Fielding, Sam Peckinpah, William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, Warren Oates, Ben Johnson, Al Q. Jones, Stoddard Martin. Great people in here, and yeah, great film, great ending. A lot of good violence in this one. I love The Wild Bunch. Again, another one that would warrant a episode on the podcast in the future for sure. Here's one that we have covered already. Classic Western, The Oxbow Incident with Henry Fonda, Anthony Quinn, Dana Andrews. Watch our podcast episode on this one, and we also had some cool bloopers during this episode as well. Carlos, this one is directed by William A. Wellman. Wellman, Carlos, says it there, Wellman. Get it right. Of course, Carlos knows I'm kidding. Next up, another classic Western. I actually own this one twice. 2 copies that were sent to me by my Western comrade, Brothers in Arms, Dan's Movie Cave. High Noon with Gary Cooper. I think this is the US edition of it. All of Films release, and this is the German release. So these two were supplied to me by Dan's Movie Cave again. One of my partners in crime on the podcast, directed by Fred Zinnemann. This film, highly recommend. I love this film. I actually hadn't seen it until Dan did send these 2 editions to me, and I absolutely love the film. I've seen it multiple times now. Absolutely love it. And here's one with George Papard, one that I sort of picked up a couple of months ago, not too long ago. One More Train to Rob, German title right here. But yeah, with George Papard from the A-Team, there he is, George Papard. Pretty much sort of reminded me of Hannibal in the A-Team, his role of the A-Team. Pretty much like Hannibal in the West was this film for me. With sort of his cocky demeanor and stuff. I really liked it. Next up, again, a more modern Western from the early 2000s with 2 fantastically looking, beautifully looking women in the main leads. Bandidas with Penelope Cruz and Salma Hayek. Also, I think this one had a good villain. Sam Shepard, Dwight Yoakam. Yeah, Dwight Yoakam was the villain. Luc Besson had something to do with this one. Script. Luc Besson. Yeah, that's a really good film. It's a little silly at places, but I do like it. Here's another modern one. The recent Walter Hill film, Dead for a Dollar, with Christoph Waltz and Willem Dafoe. Actually, not a bad little Western. I did really enjoy this one. It sort of got panned by audiences and critics, but I actually didn't mind it. It's not the greatest Walter Hill film, but not a bad little film. And this is one, I think by now this one has been announced. Sadly, this one will be a movie we'll be covering on the podcast. Blazing Saddles. Never been a favorite of mine. I actually picked this up on Blu-ray, especially because we're going to be doing an episode on it. I just never really cared too much for this one. Luckily, the Blu-ray was under €10, so Um, Actually, I wanted to get a DVD, but somehow the DVD was even more expensive than the Blu-ray. So, yeah, Blazing Saddles. You will hear more about that film when we do the episode. This one again is another one we're doing an episode on, and I got the Blu-ray because the episode I do really love this film. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much at this moment, but fantastic cast, fantastic adventure western film, The Professionals from 1966. Yeah, with the lovely Claudia Cardinal and Burt Lancaster, Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, Jack Palance, Ralph Bellamy. Fantastic cast in this one. Again, will be covered on the podcast very soon. Then a cool Arrow Video collector's set, box set edition of another Sam Peckinpah film, Major Dundee. Again, with a fantastic cast in this one. Charlton Heston, Richard Harris, James Coburn was in this one as well, if memory serves. Yeah, again, this one comes with a cool booklet, poster, and two digipacks with two different versions of the film, a theatrical cut and the extended version. Highly recommend Major Dundee. It's not the greatest Peckinpah film. I mean, I still would probably go with Wild Bunch for that when it comes to greatest Peckinpah. But I did really enjoy this one. And Arrow did a great job with the restoration and all the goodies and all the extras and whatever comes with this. Yeah, plenty of extras as we're used to. Remove the J card as we're used to from Arrow. I love how this artwork goes all the way around like so. Yeah, it's a fantastic box set, fantastic edition by Arrow Video. Very happy that they released that. I'm very happy I got it when I did. Next up, I think now we're getting more sort of categorized by actors. Here are two Jack Nicholson westerns. This one he directed as well. Going South, more of a comedy western with Mary Steenburgen, Christopher Lloyd, John Belushi in this one. Yeah, good old Jack Nicholson. You know, I love Jack Nicholson. I love him in pretty much everything. And this was actually a pretty decent sort of comedy western. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of comedy westerns, but I did enjoy that one. This one here, another great one, very underrated. The Missouri Breaks with Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando really playing a kooky character in this one. Really crazy, bizarre character. I do recommend it for that aspect alone. Next up, we get to Kevin Costner. Now I have two editions of Dances with Wolves. I have the Blu-ray right here, which is the sort of theatrical cut, which is just under 3 hours, I want to say. There it is right there. Of course, I had to own it in high def. I will get the director's cut or the extended cut on high def, but I do have the extended cut for now on DVD. This was my first edition of the film that I had. I have this one for many years. Cool little digipack sort of edition, sort of deluxe little set of Dances with Wolves. Which you open up like so. Let's see if I can do this on camera. There we go. And yeah, it's a 3-disc edition. The film is on 2 discs, and then you have a bonus disc and chapter scene index right there. So yeah, Dances with Wolves, fantastic film. Again, this one is a masterpiece for me. Dances with Wolves is a film, you know, I can watch over and over, never get bored, no matter which cut I watch. Do slightly prefer a longer cut, and it's not boring for a second, this film. It's perfectly paced, perfect story, great, fantastic, legendary music score by John Barry. Rightfully won an Oscar for it, if I'm not mistaken. And Kevin Costner, of course, delivered a masterpiece with that one. Even though this, I think, might be a bit easier for people to get into that don't really like the longer films like Dances with Wolves, but it's close. I do really love this one as well. I talked about this when we did an episode on this film. This was, along with Fistful of Dollars, this was the film that made me a Western fan, because there was a double feature on TV one night of Open Range and Fistful of Dollars, and those two films really made me the Western fan I am today. But yeah, I absolutely love Open Range with Robert Duvall, and Annette Bening in there as well, and this late great Sir Michael Gambon as the villain. James Russo, great cast in that one. Again, check our episode out on that one. Here's the two Tarantino films. Again, we might do a episode on both of these. I don't think these ones need much of an introduction. Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight, 2012, 2015, respectively. Fantastic movies. I love Tarantino films, and these two I absolutely adore, love. I do sort of wish that he would do a third Western so we can have a trilogy of Tarantino Westerns. But, he has allegedly one more film left, so, another plan that I have with Tarantino, this is going off topic a little bit. Another sort of ideal last movie for Tarantino, if it is going to be his last movie once again, because of course, he can definitely change his mind on that still. I would like to, I would like him to revisit, like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, those first three gangster films. He then make one more epic gangster films in the line of those sort of films, with a great cast. Maybe get Pacino, De Niro in there. Maybe lure Nicholson out of retirement for a cameo. Maybe, something like that I was thinking about. Obviously, Sam Jackson, pretty much all the regulars have to be involved. That was sort of that would be my ideal last Tarantino film, like one more epic gangster film following on, from 1997's Jackie Brown. Of course, the films he did before that, Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, sort of similar to those films. But again, who am I? That's just a pipe dream of mine. Let's cover Charles Bronson Westerns. This is a classic one from the 50s. Again, Delmore Davies directed film, who also did Broken Arrow. Drumbeat with Alan Ladd and Charles Bronson. Now, Bronson has the top billing, and of course, he's on the cover here, but he actually is the villain in this one. He's not the main star in the film, but this was a significant one for Bronson because they really used him in a great way in this one for the first time. Of course, in the 50s, this was way before, he moved to Europe and did the European films and became a star over there and stuff. And this was the first film where he actually used his the Bronson name. Obviously, he was born Charles Bashinsky, and he was credited as Charles Bashinsky before. And this was the first film where he adopted the Bronson moniker. So, really great film, really great film. Actually shot in color and stuff. Bronson plays a fantastic villain. This one, Native American. Yes, he is. You can say he's red face and stuff. Fuck off. I don't buy into that whole woke crap. Like, red face, fuck off. It was a product of the time. Bronson had that face. He could play anything, If you told me Bronson was Mexican, I would believe it because of the Taj and stuff and his look. It's an actor. Fuck that. It's a fucking actor. He can play any role he wants. Okay, rant over. Excuse me. It's just one of those topics that always riles me up a little bit when they say, "Oh no, I can't watch that because Bronson is red face." Fuck off. Anyway, The Magnificent Seven up next, another classic. Nice segue there. Another classic Western. This was the first Western that we covered for the Westerns for Life podcast. Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson, Eli Wallach. Again, people would say he's brown face. Fuck off once again. But I love The Magnificent Seven. Fantastic classic film. Great score by Elmer Bernstein. Wait, is it Elmer Bernstein? Let me check. Now I'm actually, Elmer Bernstein. Because of me almost raging on the whole woke shit, I'm almost confused. Now, these next two, possibly three films, I sort of was doubting if I was going to put them in there because they are also a little European-esque sort of films. This one, I think, definitely had a strong American influence, but they might have filmed it in Spain. These next three might be considered more as Euro Westerns as well. However, I think there were definitely American influences and American production companies. This one by Paramount, so yeah, Villa Rides. Again, Bronson in this one with Yul Brynner, Robert Mitchum as well. Directed by Buzz Kulik. Again, this one was given to me by Donnie, Cinemaniac 77. This is actually the Region 1 US DVD. Yeah, Villa Rides, of course, the story of Pancho Villa, played by Yul Brynner. Bronson plays the right-hand man of Pancho Villa. This one, again, could be considered more of a Euro-Western, Guns for San Sebastian. I mean, it has a score by Ennio Morricone. They shot it definitely, I think, in Almeria, Spain, like the spaghetti westerns. But then I do see, an MGM production right here at the top. Don't know if you can see a Metro Goldwyn Mayer presents MGM, of course. So this one might be European, this one American. I think American production company led the production on it. So And this one, again, Shadow's Land, Charles Bronson, Jack Palance, directed by Michael Winner. I know for a fact they shot this one in Almeria, because they even featured the Once Upon a Time in the West McBain Ranch house in this one. But yeah, there's a MGM production once again, United Artists. So American co-production. Yeah, I don't know. Again, like I said, those three, although maybe having U.S. production companies, they might be considered by people more as Euro westerns. So I was doubting putting them in there. This one definitely is an American western, as well as the next two. Breakheart Pass with Charles Bronson. We actually did get a request to cover this one on the podcast, so we will do so pretty soon. We will do an episode on this one on the podcast, which will be great for me because I can never get enough of Charles Bronson. Yeah, Breakout Pass, great cast in that one, by the way, based on an Alistair MacLean novel. Ben Johnson, Richard Crenna, Jill Ireland, Charles Durning, Ed Lauder, yeah, and of course Bronson headlining the film. Great film. This one, very underrated, more of a romantic western comedy, a little bit. From Noon Till Free, Charles Bronson, Jill Ireland, the best collaboration on screen between Charles Bronson and Jill Ireland, in my humble opinion. The chemistry between them is through the roof on this one. And yeah, great story in this one. I won't spoil too much for people who haven't seen it, but this is really one I do recommend. And don't go into it thinking it's an action-packed western with Bronson or whatever. I mean, this cover says it all. It's pretty much a love story, but it's one of the best love stories you can watch, especially in a western, especially with Bronson and Ireland, in my opinion. And this one, a really cool western meets creature feature sort of film. Dino De Laurentiis production. That might make it more of an Italian film, but it is a MGM United Artists production. The White Buffalo with Charles Bronson. Let's see who else. Jack Warden, Will Sampson, Clint Walker, Slim Pickens, Stuart Whitman, Kim Novak. Music by John Barry. Great film. Very again, underrated film, I would say. You know, it's not a high budgeted. It's pretty much more of a low budget sort of, creature feature. Pretty much Jaws in the West, but then instead of a shark, it's a buffalo. A little bit Moby Dick-esque as well with that, that sort of like man versus beast sort of film. But a really good one. Charles Bronson actually plays a real life figure in that one, actually Wild Bill Hickok, classic Western figure. After Bronson, should we go to Eastwood and John Wayne? I have two piles left. One is Eastwood, one is Wayne. Yeah, let's go with Clint Eastwood next, and we save the Duke for last. Now, of course, Clint Eastwood did, the Dollars trilogy with Sergio Leone. Of course, those are spaghetti westerns. Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. But right after The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, one of his first films when he returned to the US was this American Western, Hang 'em High. And I really have to upgrade this one to Blu-ray. I've had this DVD literally for ages. Literally since I first got into Westerns. This was one of the first ones I picked up, among with the Dollars trilogy, because of Clint Eastwood. 1968's Hang 'em High. Recommend this one. This is definitely, right after the Dollars films, Clint knew the style of the US of the spaghetti westerns, and he sort of brought that style with him when he did this film. Directed by Ted Post, who also did Magnum Force, by the way, and a handful of episodes on Rawhide. Sadly, his next Western film would be this one, Paint Your Wagon, with Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin and Gene Seberg. Yeah. I still haven't seen this one. Wow. I know, disappointing, right? Yeah, I still have to give this one a watch. I just can't bring myself to watch it. I've seen that scene of Clint on YouTube, I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. And Clint Eastwood should shoot people and not sing, at people. I just can't bring myself to watch it. I have it in my collection. I will watch it one day. I promise I will, but I really have to find a good reason to watch it. I have to build up the courage to watch it. Luckily, Clint made up for it with his next Western. This is one of my favorites of his, outside of the Dollars trilogy. Two Mules for Sister Sarah with Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine, directed by Don Siegel. This one, It's one of the Don Siegel collaborations. Yeah, they're the both of them are. This is a really great one. I won't spoil the twist in this one, but I think Dan has said it, and it sort of applies to me as well. But I can never, even though I know the twist, I can never see the twist. It still always hits me out of left field a little bit. Still a surprising twist. This one again could be debate if it's a Western, but it's definitely set in the Western era and during the Civil War. The Beguiled, another Don Siegel directed production, I should say, directed film, where Clint Eastwood is a wounded soldier in the Civil War, sort of being looked after by these women in this sort of all women's, is it sort of like a boarding school or something like that, women's house. And let's just say it's a pretty dark sort of film. Really do recommend. It is really an underrated Clint Eastwood film in my opinion. I really like it. This one probably my least favorite Western of his. Well, the jury's still out because I haven't seen Paint Your Wagon. But yeah, Joe Kidd. Again, it's serviceable. It's a good Western. It has a good cast. John Saxon, Robert Duvall is in it. But it's just pretty generic, bland, pretty much your sort of run-of-the-mill Western, which is a real shame because it's actually written by Elmore Leonard, who actually, it's an original script written by Elmore Leonard, and he would write another original script 2 years later for Charles Bronson, Mr. Majestic, which was a way better film and script. This one is just really sort of bland and average for me. It's still Clint, I still like it, but I do prefer all of his other Westerns over it. Again, besides, you know, Paint Your Wagon. This is one of my all-time favorite Westerns and Clint Westerns. High Plains Drifter, 1973. The first Western that he directed as well, this one. High Plains Drifter. Very, very Leone-esque. This is pretty much Clint doing a Leone Western his way. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Again, I won't reveal too much for people who haven't seen it. There's another one that will be on the top of many people's lists. The Outlaw, Josie Wales, the German Blu-ray, which call him the man from Texas, the Texican, whatever. Outlaw Josie Wales is definitely the title. Yeah, fantastic Western. Again, directed by Clint as well, this one. Highly, highly recommended. Here, the last two here by Clint are once again highly, highly recommended. Great Western movies. Pale Rider from 1985, again directed by Clint himself as well, this one. With a great cast as well. Chris Penn, Michael Moriarty, Cary Snodgrass, Richard Kiel, Jaws from the Bond films is in this one. John Russell, great film. Do highly recommend that one as well. And here is Clint Eastwood's magnum opus, his ultimate final Western, and it is his final Western to this day. He hasn't done another Western, and with Clint being 94 now, I don't think he ever will. But this is a great one for Clint too. A great mic drop, final Western film. Of course, I'm talking about the immortal classic that is Unforgiven. Absolute masterpiece. Love everything about this film. Great actors. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman has almost never been better. He's so amazing in this one. Morgan Freeman and Richard Harris are also amazing. I mean, great cast, great actors in this one, and fantastically, superbly directed by Clint. It's a masterpiece. That's probably my favorite Western of his, right next to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I love that film that much. Let's go to the Duke, the man that really sort of, I don't want to say put Westerns on the map, because of course there were Westerns before the Duke made them. But definitely a phase that is so identifiable with the Western genre, probably even more than Clint, to be fair. Yeah, John Wayne, the Duke himself. Starting off, I have this little DVD collection set, again, gifted to me by Donnie, Cinemaniac 77, with 3 films in here. Let's pull them out. Brewster Cockburn, of course, this is the sequel to True Grit, which it could have been better. Probably my favorite of the 3 here. War Wagon with him and Kirk Douglas. Yeah, this is a great one right here. Really enjoyed this one. Also Keenan Wynn and this one, Bruce Cabot. Yeah, this one was a good one. Enjoyed this one. This is probably the oldest one of the set. The spoilers with Marlene Dietrich in it as well, and Randolph Scott in this one. Nice little film for sure. Do really enjoy it. Enjoy all three of these films to be fair. So that's the John Wayne collection with 3 DVDs. Let's go to the other films I have of his here on Blu-ray is Big Jake. I love this one. This is a later one for the Duke from the 70s, I want to say. Early 70s. If I can find a year, I can't. I think this is the early 70s anyway, but yeah, it's a later one for the Duke, Big Jake. I really enjoyed this one. Richard Boone as the villain. This one is excellent. Richard Boone, of course, featured in quite a handful of the Duke's films. I do really love Big Jake. Definitely a top 5, top 10 one for me. I love this one as well. Cahill, United States Marshal. Again, 1973, so a later one for the Duke. I have a lot of his later ones, not as much a lot of the early ones, but there's still a few. But yeah, Cahill, United States Marshal. That's another good one. Do enjoy that one. This one I don't remember too much about. I have seen it. Chisholm. Again, this is one from the 70s. Yeah, 1970. Andrew McLaughlin picture. Christopher George, Ben Johnson, Bruce Cabot, Richard Jekyll. Some great supporting actors in this one. Yeah, I do like Chisholm, but again, I don't remember too much about it, so definitely worth a rewatch and maybe even a possible Westerns for Life podcast episode in the future. This is definitely one I would like to cover. I did really enjoy this one. One of my more recent pickups of John Wayne films on Blu-ray, the Comancheros, with an early sort of role for Lee Marvin. Actually, right after this film was The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. We're going to get to that one. And on the basis of John Wayne working with Lee Marvin in this film, he actually recommended Marvin for the Liberty Valance character in that film. So, yeah. The Comancheros, this is a great one. Stuart Whitman in this one. Yeah, Lee Marvin. Pat Wayne, Bruce Cabot once again. And this one directed by Michael Curtiz. Yeah. And here's another one of my favorites, The Cowboys. Again, one of the few last films of the Duke. Really love The Cowboys. This was a great film. Not gonna spoil it, but this one has a really sort of cool, fitting ending and stuff. Not gonna again spoil too much, but yeah. Do really love The Cowboys, and this one I love as well. El Dorado, again a take on Rio Bravo. This one with Robert Mitchum. I forgot his name. Robert Mitchum, there he is, and also a early role for James Caan in this one. Ad Asner as well. Again, our Paramount Blu-ray right here. El Dorado, great film. This one, I guess I had to build up a bit more in my head. Before I watched, I was slightly disappointed with it. I still like it, but Fort Apache with John Wayne and Henry Fonda, Shirley Temple, Pedro Armendáriz as well, and yeah, it's a John Ford Western. Of course, he's done many John Ford films. Yeah, I was expecting more out of the film with both these, sort of heavyweight Western actors in it. But I was slightly disappointed with it. It's definitely one I think I will like more on rewatches. But yeah, for now I was slightly disappointed with it. This might be my favorite of the Dukes, my personal favorite anyway. Hondo, love everything about this film. I love the story. I love the actors in it, the setting. The cinematography, everything. I love Hondo. It really is probably my favorite John Wayne film. This one is another top 5 one. I love this one. Here's the aforementioned The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance with John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart. Again, a John Ford film. Vera Miles, Lee Marvin, Andy Devine. Again, we did a episode on this one on the podcast. Go check that out if you haven't already. Here's another classic one, but again, one that I think I built up too much, and I was a little disappointed with watching it. And I don't consider it a masterpiece. Many do. I do like it. Dare I say, I do love the film, but not as much as other people do. But yeah, it's the Searchers. Again, John Ford film. Great, widescreen, you know, photography in this one, great landscape shots. Again, yeah, John Ford, like I said, Vera Miles in this one as well, Natalie Wood, Jeffrey Hunter. It is a great film, but just not the masterpiece that a lot of people will say it is. And here we have the Duke's last film and my most recent acquisition of John Wayne films, the Arrow Video US Region A locked Blu-ray of the Shootist. Right there, the Duke's final film, the swan song for the Duke. Yeah, a great final. Like, there's not too many actors I can think of that had a great final film, but John Wayne definitely. Directed by Don Siegel, a regular, of course, Clint Eastwood collaborator. He did a fantastic job with that film. Lauren Bacall, you also got James Stewart in that one as well. Ron Howard, yeah, The Shootist, John Wayne's last film. If you can get the Arrow video edition, get it. It's some great special features on there as well. Here's another one that really is a favorite of mine. I really love this film. Another Paramount Blu-ray, German Blu-ray of The Sons of Katie Elder. Yeah, this is a great one with Dean Martin as well. Let's see who else is in this. Hal Wallace production, Martha Heyer, Michael Anderson Jr., Earl Holliman, Jeremy Slade, directed by Henry Hathaway, music by Elmer Bernstein. Yeah, great music score. I do remember the music score being really great in this one. Recommend The Sons of Katie Elder. It's a really good one. This one was an enjoyable one as well. The Train Robbers with John Wayne and Margaret, and also Rod Taylor in this one. Ben Johnson, Christopher George once again, Bobby Vinn, Ricardo Montalban, and it's directed by Burt Kennedy. Yes, The Train Robbers. This again, it was an enjoyable, entertaining one for sure. I had a lot of fun with this one. Would it be a top 10 John Wayne film? Maybe. Definitely a strong honorable mention if I ever do a top 10 John Wayne list, Westerns. Here, another one that a lot of people love, you know, some people consider it like a masterpiece, and of course it is the film that won John Wayne his Oscar. I like it. I like the film a lot. But again, I think I had it built up a little too much in my head as a great Western. So, you know, my expectations were too high, I think, for this film. I'll have to give it a rewatch now that my expectations will be lowered and see how much it holds up then. But I do like it. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I outright hate the film or anything. And this one I really liked as well. The Undefeated with John Wayne and Rock Hudson. This one directed by, again, Andrew V. McLaughlin. And this one with a music score by Hugo Montenegro. Co-starring Tony Aguilar, Roman Gabriel, Marion McCargo, Lee Merriweather, Marilyn Olsen, Bruce Cabot, Ben Johnson. There are some regular Duke collaborators. So yeah, The Undefeated. Do really recommend this one as well. Again, pretty solid and underrated Western. This one from the late 60s, yeah, 1969. So there you guys have it. Those were all of my American Westerns with, you know, Western legends like the Duke, Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, Kevin Costner, Jack Nicholson. We covered Nicholson. We had Tarantino. Just a quick insert. I did forget about showing this Western as I'm now sort of back here in the loft. The loft is where I sort of store all my movies in these sort of containers. I'm putting stuff back now from the video recording of the US Westerns, and I came across this one. I totally forgot to show it. If I come across another one, I expect to see another insert, but I think that this is the only one I missed, hopefully. But yeah, The Quick and the Dead with Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, DiCaprio, Sam Raimi film. Lance Henriksen in it as well. There you go. I totally forgot to pull this one and show this one. So here's another US Western of my collection. There you go. Yeah, I mean, again, I have seen more American Westerns than what I've just showed you. And, you know, here are, let's see if I can give you a shot of that. Those are the two piles. These are the Duke films. So from the Duke, I have about 20 films, ish. And these are the other ones I just showed you. There you go. So yeah, like I said, it's about 50 odd DVDs and Blu-rays of American Westerns right there. Like I said, I have seen more than what I've just showed you. But yeah, I think one can safely say I'm more versed and more into the spaghetti westerns, and I'm more into the Italian westerns of things, as opposed to the, where pretty much all started with westerns, the American westerns. Um, and I think I have more, sort of post 60s westerns as well. Like a lot of westerns from the 70s and 80s and 90s and stuff, and a few modern ones. Yeah, I haven't dabbled all too much in like real classic westerns like before the 60s and stuff, although again there were a handful and I've seen a handful. I actually recently watched a real classic one with Gregory Peck, The Gunfighter. That was the first time watching me. I watched that on Tubi. So yeah, I watched a lot of ones, a lot of, especially the Dukes, John Wayne. There's a lot of John Wayne movies available to watch for free on YouTube, and on Tubi and stuff. So I have watched definitely more than what I've shown you. It's just I haven't picked a lot of them up yet. I'm sort of more focused on collecting and sort of building my spaghetti western collection. But again, like I said, I do have obviously a fair few, U.S. westerns right there. Nice piles again. The Duke, and those are all the other ones I just showed you. Yeah, I do have a fair few. I think it's safe to say. But anyway, there you guys have it. That was my U.S. Western collection. Again, thanks very much to Mike Barrett for suggesting I do one, or sort of requesting I do one, I guess. Again, I do have a lot of fun. I always take every excuse to talk westerns, so I definitely took this one with open arms. So yeah, Mike, hope you enjoy it, and I hope everybody else enjoyed it as well. Yeah, my Western collection will definitely keep growing. My spaghetti Western collection will always keep growing. I mean, Westerns for Life. That's, we chose that name for our thing and the podcast because that is us, me, Carlos, and Dan. We're all about Westerns for Life. We're all about all things Western. So yeah, there you guys have it. Stay tuned for more content as always. Stay tuned for more podcast episodes. Again, you will find those episodes on Dan's channel. I will leave a link obviously down below to both of my Western collaborators. And you can also find the Westerns for Life podcast on Spotify. We are now in video form on Spotify. So on Spotify, when you open your phone, you can watch us, and when you close the phone, you hear the audio and stuff. It's sort of a new feature we've discovered. So I've been putting all our episodes into video form on there, and you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music and stuff like that, still on a normal audio form. But yeah, there you guys have it. Westerns for Life, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, and so long for now.